Now, with numerous Star Wars TV shows already in different phases of development, many of which, by the way, are going to be announced at this year's D23 event that takes place in early September, that's going to really announce a full slate of Star Wars shows that will be presented by Bob Iger. We also have a lot of other projects that have been shifted away from D23, many of which include some of the other films that will now be announced sometime in 2024, most likely during one of the earnings calls in the first or second quarter. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into exactly what's happening with the Acolyte. Now, we know that Leslye Headland has said this just a couple of days ago, that the Acolyte is indeed happening. It is coming for 2024. It is not a 2025 project. It is going to be the main show for 2024, given that there will be no Mandalorian Season 4 by John and Dave next year due to the writer's strike. Unfortunately but true, it is being shifted until 2025, around March, give or take, of that year. Got a ways to go, and it's going to be quite tiresome to wait in that process, I will be honest, but having the Acolyte as the main show for next year is not a good sign for Lucasfilm. Apart from that, we have Andor Season 2, and another Star Wars show that has yet to have been titled yet that will be also unveiled at D23. So 3 big ones in total. So what's interesting about this is what Leslye Headland is planning for the Acolyte that is going to make you cringe, most likely related to the overall story approach for the reshoots that will be happening by this fall. Now, with creator Leslye Headland getting ready to go through with heavy reshoots for the fall of this year involving the Acolyte, one big development surrounding this is a big cameo involving a couple of characters that are about to appear in the Acolyte that will make fans cringe it's so bad. The reported sequences that are about to be filmed are set to actually be shot in studio, only to limit the amount of money going into the scene, as on-location shots would cost more. Leslye Headland is about to bring in a major cameo of Geode the Rock from the High Republic material, and how he is about to be a very big influence on one of the episodes that serves as a powerful being that will hold strong connections to hyperspace travel. Now, the character is said to flirt with some of the female characters, much like in the High Republic material that was lightly touched on and joked about. However, Leslye is going to adapt that greatly for the Acolyte reshoots to add to the 6th episode of the series. Now, guys, let me elaborate further. Geode the Rock is a real character in the High Republic books, comics, whatever have you. And in there, if you guys have read the material, it does kind of toy around with the idea of Geode flirting with women. Now, what's odd about this is that Geode is literally just a rock. It's a stagnant rock just sitting there that serves as a purpose for travel, essentially. And in the Acolyte specifically and exclusively, it's going to have a lot to do with his aid in hyperspace travel. Alright, so that's his connection with the Force and stuff like that. I couldn't think of a more flawed character that holds no value than Geode the Rock. I think it's the worst of the worst, especially not just in the books, but now coming to live action is only going to make it even worse. I mean, can you imagine the toy sales or the figure sales of this thing just tanking? Nobody wants to buy a model of a rock, let's be honest. But looking at this is where things get to really go downhill, is that it involves yet another cameo, and Leslye Headland is doubling down, technically speaking, on celebrity cameos now. And it's somebody that we all know very, very well and have been talking about for years. Let's get into it. Additionally, one of the other cameos that Leslye Headland is about to bring into the reshoots for the Acolyte is that Kathleen Kennedy herself is said to take part in a brief 1-minute cameo, playing a character that is dubbed as the Collector. This character, the Collector, is described to have white bushy hair holding a basket of kyber crystals that will be given to some of the Acolytes for business purposes that deals with the underworld stuff on Coruscant. This cameo for Kathleen Kennedy to portray in the Acolyte was initially going to happen during regular filming, but it fell through due to complications in the story, and that now with reshoots on the way, Leslie finds this to be the perfect opportunity to do this. Also, Acolyte is now aiming for an April of 2024 release date window so far, which is subject to change depending on scheduling conflicts with other shows getting delayed in the process on Disney+. Kennedy's cameo is planned to appear somewhere in the 7th episode of the show, which is toward the tail end of the series. Now, guys, we talked about this about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, that they were planning on Kathy Kennedy having a cameo in The Acolyte. Now, this is nothing new. Kathy also made a very big cameo, or not a big cameo, a very minor cameo, in the Temple of Doom. You guys may have missed it. She's one of the dancers in the very beginning of that movie. And she got that gig because of Frank Marshall. And not just because of Frank Marshall, but at the time because of Steven Spielberg specifically as well. So, this is something interesting because we know that Leslie Headland looks up entirely to Kathleen Kennedy. She loves Kathleen Kennedy oh so dearly because of the job that she has given her. And the job that she has given her to literally dismantle George Lucas's Star Wars. Let's be honest about this. If I really had to compare Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland to anybody, it's almost like they are the Sith. They are, they are a duo. Always two there are, like as Yoda says, and she is the replacement of Rian Johnson. That's the only thing that pops in my mind, at least, is that once Rian Johnson was out of the picture, much like how, when we lost Darth Maul, Count Dooku comes into the mix. That's how I see Leslie Headland, alongside Emperor Palpatine here, in this case, Kathleen Kennedy. But moving to the next thing here about the Acolyte series, is that we know that the show is going to be extremely, and yes, I say, extremely controversial for many valid reasons. The first reason is that Leslie has been very open that this show completely just diverts away from anything George Lucas related, and that she specifically did not want him on set. Kathleen Kennedy did not want him on set. They banished him from the set. He was never allowed to even see any filming or anything like that on location shots or in studio stuff. He was never there. Same exact thing followed for Skeleton Crew, as well as Mando Season 3. It's why for Mando Season 3, by the way, there are no BTS photos of George Lucas, and there's your answer, that's why. I'll never forget Mando Season 2 when George was there. It felt so very special, and especially also for Mando Season 1. Very special stuff. He was even there for the Book of Boba Fett, of all things. But, like I say, this is very sad that this is the direction that we're going. The fact that The Acolyte is, and I repeat is, the main show for next year. Some people would like to say that maybe Andor Season 2 is going to be like the main show, but not according to Disney. According to Disney, The Acolyte is like the show, the shining light in their eyes for 2024. And that just scares me as a fan, and I'm sure it does for a lot of you out there. So guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time. Night.